Welcome back everyone to more Tech Corp coverage here at Pit Gaming. In today's video, we're going to be looking at alpha version 1.9, which was released a few days ago by the developers and focuses on a lot of automation and reducing the number of clicks you need in order to play the game. So if you're familiar with the game, if you've been looking through the playlist that I have for Tech Corp here at Pit Gaming, then you know that there was a lot of heavy micromanaging pre-version 1.9. And I'm here to tell you that has all changed with version 1.9. So what we're going to do in today's video is take a look at, very briefly, through some of the options and changes that have been made as part of alpha version 1.9. And then we're going to jump into the game itself and see how that plays out in the actual gameplay. So first thing that has been dealt with is your managers, both your programmer manager and lead developer managers. These guys are going to be a lot more useful. The programmer manager will now pick up automatically any tasks that can be done and need to be done, such as your software contracts. You sign a software contract or three, they will automatically take care of those and assign the different components and modules to be worked on. If there are no contracts available, then they will pick up any add-on tasks from the lead developer manager. So now the lead developer manager can control your programmer manager if need be, and you need to have some things like the add-ons worked on. You need some more components developed. That is something that is certainly possible and will happen automatically. Now, with all of this automation that's been added to the game, I will let you know that in a lot of cases, there's the option to turn these off. So if you want to continue on with the heavy micromanaging style of gameplay, which is certainly understandable, then you can do so. You can turn off a lot of these. And you can see here in the text, it says the default is set to true, and that means you have the option to turn that off. Moving on, the marketing manager is no longer available, and that's because they're no longer needed. The marketing manager isn't needed because the marketers will automatically pick up any new tasks. So if you create a new game and it comes time for the marketing of that game, your marketers will automatically pick it up. And the same thing with other tasks that you might have for them throughout your gameplay. So no longer will you have to worry about the situation where you forget to do the marketing because you assigned the amount of money you needed and the type of marketing you wanted to do, but forgot to assign a marketer. Because I know there are those of you out there who have done exactly the same thing that I've done and forgot to assign marketers in the past. Now there is also on the right hand side of the screen under your tasks, there is a clean cards button. And what that will do is basically clean out that area without you having to manually click through each thing. Great examples of this are, now we notice that as we come down a little bit further, software contracts auto deliver upon completion. You don't have to click a button anymore whenever the software contract is complete. It simply automatically takes care of itself, and then you can use the clean cards button to remove those previous software contracts that are now done out of the way and make a lot more space and a lot more usable space on the right hand side of the screen. Also, in the same vein of reducing the number of clicks in the game, confirmation has been removed when hiring, firing, and then buying both furniture and machines. So if it was cumbersome for you that you had to not only hire an employee, but then also confirm it after that, then that's now gone. One click and you're done with that. They've also added some hotkeys. And then when we get over to the manufacturing side, for those of you who, like me, really like to have both the software and the manufacturing side of things going simultaneously, that was very difficult to do pre-version 1.9. simply because it was very easy to run out of materials. So unless you bought huge amounts of materials before swapping screens, you could easily run out. Now, if a material gets all the way down to 0, then 5,000 units will be automatically purchased. So you will never again have to purchase any new materials if you don't want to. You can still do it if you want to. And then, of course, as we talked about earlier, there's an option to turn this off as well. So if you don't want auto buy on materials, you want to do it all manually, you can certainly continue to do that. So that's a look very briefly at some of the patch notes from version 1.9. Now let's move into the game and see how it affects our gameplay. All right, so here we are in game, and this is basically an example save that I got started. And just to give you an idea of what employees we have and how this works, over here on the right-hand side of the screen are all developers and then a manager for those programmers. Over here to the far left, we have a researcher as well as a couple of marketers. And then here in the center of the screen, down here toward the bottom portion of the area, we have a couple of lead developers and then a manager for the lead developers. And then up here, we have a couple of sales executives, one working on software contracts, the other on hardware contracts. And you can see I have both of them turned off right now. They're not actively searching for any contracts because the first thing I want to show you is that we talked about how the lead developer manager could override and give assignments to the programming manager. Well, that's exactly what's happening right now, because you notice that these guys are all working, but we don't have any software contracts. Well, the reason they are working is because the manager right now is telling them to work on optimization components. And then you can see they swap over every once in a while to back-end components. And they're doing this very quickly because I have 8 programmers up and working over here. If I come back over, you can see why they have chosen to work so heavily on optimization components and then back-end components every so often. And that is because the lead developers are working on QA modules as part of the information I need, add-ons for my phone platform. So that's how you can work. You can simply have your programmers in place, a manager for them. You can have a manager in place and one or more lead developers. And as those lead developers need different components programmed, it can automatically filter down to your programmers even without having any software contract. So now let's see what happens if I change that up a little bit. And let's start looking for software contracts. So here they come. They pop up over here on the right. You see our clean cards at the very top. And sure enough, we've already completed that very first contract. There's the second contract, the third one. Now, if you don't want to click on close on any of these, simply hit clean cards. They go away. And you can have up to 3 contracts going at any one time. So you can simply spend all of your time over here on the right-hand side under notifications, and you can watch as the money piles up. Now, in the case of this example, most of this money came from games. That's how we got most of that. But you can see, as you continue to add more programmers, they will be able to complete these contracts even quicker. So with that in mind, now let's come over to the manufacturing side of things. And here you can see everything has run out of material, but we have a good bit of stock in our inventory right now. And that's because for a long time, I just allowed these guys to continually make the different components without even having a particular contract that we were working on. And the way I stopped it is simply turned off auto buy. So if I turn this back on, the auto purchase, as we get down to very close to 0, you can watch this. Boom, 5,000 is purchased, and we're back up and running, and we're continuing to build our inventory. So let's go ahead and accept a couple more contracts. But again, you can see these guys working on this, and they will work on contracts in the order in which they were assigned. So as soon as you accept a contract, it goes into the queue and so on after that. So this is going to be the first contract that they will work on. And then after that, they will pick up these other 2. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to come back over here and let's turn on the hardware contracts as well. And it's going to take it a little bit to actually run through some of this. In fact, let's go ahead and stop this task and just turn these guys off for a moment while we're doing some of this. And we'll get these contracts done fairly quickly this way. All right, so here's another hardware contract that pops up. We'll go ahead and accept that. And you can see we're already done just because we've kept continuous Production, we'll go ahead and deliver that. Software contracts are done. We'll clean those out, and we'll start accepting more. This is a huge departure from the way things worked previous to 1.9, and in fact, it is such a huge difference that it's almost hard to grasp how different the gameplay is. And you can see I'm not even on fast forward right now. I'm on regular speed. So it's entirely possible that you're going to have to start pausing the game just to catch a breath and see where you are. So right now, this manufacturing contract ready to deliver, this hardware contract ready to sign, and we're done with it because, once again, I've just kept the materials being auto purchased, and I've kept our inventory up and running. Now, obviously, we are way overproducing some of these things like batteries, but for example purposes, it is no issue at all to me because we're certainly not going to run out of money. So now we've paused the game for just a few moments. We've taken care of all of our notifications. We have no active contracts. So as soon as we start the game up again, here come the contracts. And you can have, as you can see, a mixture of both software as well as hardware and manufacturing contracts as well. And you can keep this going indefinitely for as much as you want and continue expanding the number of employees as much as you want. This is extremely different. This is a complete change from the way the game has been played. So that's going to do it for our video today. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned as we will continue our coverage for Tech Corp.